If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Central Valley Talk. My name's Ray Johns. I'm your host, and the name of my show is Voices Not Yet Heard. And like we say every week, we hope perhaps we can become the vehicle so that that voice might just get heard. If you're watching me now, we're live, so feel free to call in. The number will appear on the screen. We'd love to hear from you today. I've got my favorite guest that I'm going to introduce here in a few minutes. But until that time, I'd like to talk to you about some of the things that, in lieu of the liberal left still yakking about what's going on with Donald Trump. First, they started criticizing the generals. Now they're criticizing the fact that we have the wealthiest cabinet in the history of this country, which I think is great because he's pointed people at key positions. And if you go back to Andrew Jackson, some 1835, some 180 years ago or so, roughly, he is the last president to actually balance a budget and have a zero debt. And I believe in Donald Trump, and I think if anybody can do it, he can certainly do that. I look forward to it. This is a great ride. We're running along. I'm just loving the way things are happening in this country. It's great time to be an American and a patriot, which I am. So welcome to the show. I'm going to bring in my favorite guest now.
Hello, Ray.
How you doing, Gary? Gary
good.
Miguel.
Doing good.
What do you think about all this stuff that's going on right now, buddy?
Well, like you, people have to be positive about it because
Absolutely.
it is a positive situation. And even if you were a Clinton voter or a so-called liberal, sometimes what's best for you don't know about.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're going to find out.
They're going to find out because, and they are finding out.
Yes, they are.
But the thing about it is, had Hillary been elected, it would have been a total disaster. And a lot of the people who were Clinton voters or Clinton sympathizers would have hurt the most.
That was touched on Fox this morning.
Was it really?
Yeah, on Outnumbered, they talked about that, which is one of my favorite shows if I have
Yeah.
time to watch it.
But I mean, some of the people that did the most or are doing the most resistance and complaining, it's just a matter they just don't know what's good enough for.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one of those ladies talked about. Boy, that's a great show. 4 beautiful women and one guy. You know, they all look like Sandra. I love it.
But so I think that these people will be coming around, and when I say coming around to realize that why don't they get on the wagon because they can benefit from it. There's opportunity for people that has never been before.
Absolutely.
So why
buddy.
fight something
Yeah.
like that? I
Yeah.
mean, and of course, I read something today that really, I've heard it before, but to be a true liberal, if you think about it, it is a mental disorder because it's just not normal.
It doesn't make sense,
No,
does it,
no.
Gary?
And
at all.
People like that, if you look at the kind of people, they suffer from a mental lapse or what? Not a mental lapse, but a mental disorder. They're a different kind of people, and they're rather, I don't know, self-destructive in a lot of ways,
I've seen it happen.
and they've got something that's just missing. And you take like these millennials. How in the world can you wish for a socialist? I mean, what opportunity do those people have in their life, and they're only 20 years old?
None.
I mean,
None. Absolutely none.
Yeah, and I mean, they would just seal their fate. That's been proven over in countries that have gone that direction, and what did happen to them? It just became absolutely a country of people that were just existing.
You introduced us to that through Venezuela a while back.
Right.
Perfect example of
Venezuela,
of
I
this.
mean, and before that, it was Russia. Russia was the leader in the Marxist thing, you know, and that's when it began. Although we got to go back to that time and see what it was like then. Russia was dealing with a monarchy,
Yes, they were.
you know, or a patriarch, and so it was a different thing that communism offered a better deal than that. But when you get into the situation that we're in now and the kind of things that happens with communism in a communist country, really, I don't know why it is so difficult to just sit there and look at Venezuela.
Perfect example.
Well, just look at Cuba.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, if you look at that and you say, well, wait a minute, do I want that for me?
And look what happened there. I mean,
know.
supposedly Fidel Castro was going to be the savior, and he turned around and became
Well,
a dictator himself.
Well,
You know?
yeah, he became a communist-style dictator, and that's exactly what Hillary had in mind. Only she even had a bigger design than Castro. Her design was to have a global, the
Well,
global
she wanted to take
world
over the world.
order.
Yeah, they wanted to take over the world.
Well, she herself wanted to be the final, or during this period, world order leader, and she wasn't looking like president of the United States, but that would give her a step to be a world type order, and that's why she's done that. She's overthrown Libya. She overthrows like Benghazi, with the Benghazi deal. Syria. I mean, you go on and look where she was with Croatia. She's a very, very what they call war hawk, I guess. I mean, she's like a war with Russia, and people were fortunate to have avoided that. And we're in a situation now with Trump is now.
Thank goodness for
not
Donald
wasting
Trump.
any time getting prepared for when he does take over. And what we had was really a regime change,
Yes, it was.
because you're going from a government that was corrupt through the core,
Completely corrupt.
and it was had been for a long time. People just didn't realize it, didn't see it, because it really didn't have that big of an effect.
They're so programmed. They were so programmed. The liberals had programmed them so much. It's like you said, every 4 years they come around for votes, and that's it.
Right.
They forget the people the other time. People finally woke up.
That's
They started
it.
to wake up.
And the thing, when you look at it, Ray, you have the top elites, and when we're talking about that, we're talking about Democrat, Republic, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You have the top elites, which are the establishment. And then after that, well, what do you have? You go clear to the bottom to the
Sure,
workforce.
because there's no middle class.
there's
They've
nothing
completely,
in the-
yeah,
nothing
they've
that
completely
interests
wiped
them
it.
in between.
Yeah.
So how do they get elected? They go down
Sure.
and pay for it, pander it, and
Sure
so
they do.
forth. But these people are not benefiting ever. I mean, these people down at the bottom don't benefit.
They never do.
And then the people in the middle, it gets.
I don't mean to be negative, but when I think about this past presidential administration that's leaving, thank goodness, I think I can't help but Gary, think, how did this all come about? I mean, it's such a mess. And then we had Hillary Clinton coming in behind that was going to make it even messier, And it's like you said, because they kept the people down, they kept them in a position where all they really needed them for was the votes. That was it. And it just got progressively worse. And like Gary said, this country was headed toward communism.
Oh, absolutely. People sit there, oh, no. Well, okay, that's what they said in Cuba. That's what some said before they were shot.
Yeah.
And that's what they
Yeah,
said
before they were shot. Yeah.
in Venezuela before they were shot, China before they were shot, Russia before they were shot, and we can go on.
Yeah.
No one ever thought it was going to be like that until it was like that, And we escaped it. Now let's go back a little bit, just what we know at this point. We say, well, how did this all go about? Well, it's a propaganda machine that people hear it often enough, long enough, they believe it. Right?
Absolutely. We talked about that before.
Right.
Yeah.
And had
Programming.
Trump not come in and shocked the world, in a sense, and shocked people out of that, because he'd come up right away with things that were totally, people had never even talked about.
Yeah.
Build a wall in Mexico. He never talked
They're
about
afraid
that.
to talk about all this
Well,
stuff,
and they weren't even, or even thought of it.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to drain the swamp. What does that mean? And on it made it an awareness, and Trump would not have run for president if there had been someone he felt that could.
We talked about
Correct
that.
it.
He looked around, he couldn't find anybody.
Yeah.
He thought, you know what? I'm going to do this myself.
He had no desire to run for president.
No, he didn't.
But he felt it was a duty, or calling, or
Obligation or something, yeah.
Chosen to do that.
Yes.
He had to do it, and that's what he feels about it.
Thank goodness he did.
So what he's doing now, he's bringing in all these people that were against him, and you ask, why were they against him? Because they were benefiting with the corruption
Well, sure they were.
and the lobbyists, and that's nothing
Special
but
interests.
corruption.
There's all the special
And when you
interests.
have congressmen and senators going to Washington, coming out multimillionaires, they're not there to help to serve the people.
They're there to serve themselves.
Absolutely. And Trump
Self-serving.
stops all that. And so the same thing with these corporations like Boeing, we could pick on that and so forth. And he says, okay, here's where we are. This is what we're going to do. And you come over to wherever he is down there, how do you pronounce that in Florida? Mar-a-Lago or
Yeah,
something.
whatever it is, yeah.
You come down there, we have a meeting, and I'm going to tell you, we appreciate what you're doing and so forth. This is what we want to do, but nobody owes me. And you're not going to be paying lobbyists so that you could charge $4 billion for something that ought to be $2 billion.
Yeah, I heard him say, we want you to make some money,
Oh,
not
yeah.
that much money.
Yeah.
That's just absolutely
And
ridiculous.
he's telling everybody that. So the people that are extremely nervous, if you think about it, are people who were lobbyists that were
Sure.
benefiting from the corruption, as well as government employees who, quite frankly, know they're not doing anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're just waiting for retirement. They got a government job.
That's all.
And
That's
they're
all.
going to be nervous about it.
You think there's a little bit of waste there, Gary?
Oh, my God. I mean, we've all dealt with that. And it changed because I remember at a time when people went to work for the government because they didn't care about they weren't very ambitious.
Yeah.
But now people go to work for the government because, man, that's a good paying retirement
yeah.
and all the rest. Well, fine. I don't mind you getting paid that much, but you better produce that much.
Something. Yeah, absolutely.
see what
Something
I mean?
for your time. Absolutely.
Yeah,
and that didn't happen.
Yeah, you take paying somebody so much an hour, there's not enough money you can pay him if he's doing what he's, benefiting
Yeah.
in the sense of what he's doing.
Absolutely.
And there's going to be a number of people that are going to, he's going to try to do it, I think, with attrition. In other words, you automate early retirement and all that. Just get rid of all that
Yeah.
that isn't producing anything. And then those jobs that people will maybe have a better incentive to go to private enterprise.
I think he's going to use the private sector a lot. I
Well,
think that's what's going to build a middle class.
Well,
one
that
of the
is
things.
it. That's
Yeah.
what it was before. And now you take like China. I just read that just a while ago. Some manufacturer of something I don't recall because I just read it in a hurry. He's moving to the United States, and we're talking about Chinese now.
These people are smart people. They know which side their
Right.
bread's going to be buttered on.
And they're coming over
Yeah.
to the United States and build whatever this thing is. And of course, he's getting a lot. They're getting a lot of heat over there because he's leaving China to go to America. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, this thing is just getting so exciting for me, Gary. It really is. You can see things. I mean, I think it's 25, 30 days from tomorrow this man takes office on the 20th of January. And look at what he's done up to this point.
Geez.
And look at the people that are coming aboard that are calling him. He's not calling them. All these foreign dignitaries are calling him because they want to get on board because they know what's going to happen with this administration.
Ray, what he's doing is a lot of work right now. And so that when that date comes, it's not like the date comes, now we start putting, that date comes, they're already, boom, 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 it's already
No
rolling.
president in history
Right.
has had a cabinet picked like he's had so early.
Right.
They do it. They talked about Kennedy. They talked about even the great Ronald Reagan was still making appointees well into February.
Well, they just sat back and, you won the election, take a break, and now we'll get started.
Not Donald Trump.
Everything starts on the 20th of January. Donald Trump, everything starts on whatever time it was that they had the vote come through.
November 9th. November
already
8th,
calling these
he was
people in.
November 8th, he was elected. November 9th, he was already making strides.
Well, he's down there in Florida, and these people they're going down there. I mean, every day he's meeting with people, and he's meeting with foreign people and talking to them on. We really have no idea, of course.
Somebody asked me before they made the pick. It made me laugh. I almost spewed food I was eating in the middle of it. They said, Ray, who's going to be the Time Man of the Year? And I said, are you kidding?
Yeah.
Think about that. Think about that. Who has accomplished more this year than absolutely anybody? There's no way it's not going to be Donald Trump,
Right.
Well, very deserving.
Of course, he deserves that, obviously.
Yeah.
But you got to be excited about what he's going to do.
Oh.
And this is what also is interesting, is that press has been a real poison
Yeah, very much so.
for many years, Ray.
And they're still trying.
And they're going to try because that's what they are. They're poisonous people.
Yeah.
And they have it's almost like Provident in Russia. And, just little by little, and they have absolutely pulled the wool over the American public's eyes for a long, long time. But what is Trump doing? He's going and making it unnecessary that you have to even watch him. He posts on his Twitter, and and then they go from there, like Last Refuge and some of those.
I love what you said a couple
you
weeks
know.
ago. I just go to Twitter and see what he says.
I mean,
you know?
why then go turn the thing on and listen to some guy that you are against his particular philosophy from day one, and you know is all he's going to do is be negative. Why don't you just go over here and get the truth?
Absolutely.
Without
and,
even
and since you
yeah.
taught me that,
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing.
Right.
I no longer look at CNN for what?
Yeah,
you know.
no, because
I watch Fox.
Yeah.
You know, I watch Hannity. I watch Lou Dobbs. You know.
Right.
But other than those three, you know, and there's a new guy too. I can't think of his name. He's on
Oh,
Fox.
I know Tucker.
Yeah, Tucker.
Yeah,
Tucker.
he's good.
Yeah, he's good too.
But you go to like Last Refuge, I don't know what I just kind of stumbled on that, but the people that comment, you know, man, they got some really really sharp people,
Oh wow.
and so I go to that website. And I go to like
And Dredge too. Dredge.
yeah, I go to Drudge, of course, and then I go to Breitbart, and then I go to True Feed. That's a good one, Truth Feed.
No, I've never been.
know.
I'm not familiar with that.
Well,
one.
there's a lot of those like that, but people aren't.
Truth Feed.
But
Oh,
it's just amazing that what you get there, in the sense that it's like the truth. Okay, like for instance, CNN says something, and they'll comment on what was said, and then they'll come back. They'll say this is what really it was.
Oh, that's what people you need to.
Yeah.
If you need to know about these things, call in. Gary will tell you. But these people you should be listening to. And
Well,
looking
yeah,
at.
I think, geez, I go to that. So, like I mentioned those three, and I guess there's more. These are just individual
Yeah.
people that start this stuff.
Yeah.
That's what's really encouraging. Also, we're not talking about being started by some conglomerate.
No, they're all in.
We're
like
talking
Lou
about
Dobbs.
somebody
Yeah,
sitting
yeah.
there like you and I decide all of a sudden, let's put one of these things up,
And we do it.
and we do it, and this is what this is. But now you're getting the information.
With all the
directly from-
information in your head, we
Yeah.
ought to consider that.
well, you look at that and you say, well, Trump makes a comment. Okay, somebody like Chris Wallace makes a comment. Well, you go to one of these things, and there's, like I say, there's sharp people on there. There's some dingbats,
Yeah.
but
But for the most part, you're saying.
well,
yeah.
you just get rid of that.
Yeah.
You go down the line, and it's shut, and you read this one, and they'll say, okay, this is where Chris Wallace was wrong, as an example. You know, or this is where Trump is going to run into a problem.
Yeah.
There's just so much in that you're not going to get on regular
No, you're not. CNN
major
or one of
media
those- no,
channel.
none
In
of the
fact,
major media.
when this started, I started getting that. Now, when you hear those guys, you think, "Oh my God, that is just it's just like over and over and over.
Oh, yeah.
Same old thing." And I mean, and then what you do is you kind of get mad about it. So I say, well, why don't I just stop getting myself upset with that, because it's
And not watch it at all.
not even
That's
watch
exactly
it at all.
my
you know,
philosophy.
and it's unnecessary if you're there again. I mean, you go direct to Trump. Now people say, well, how do you know Trump's not lying to you? Well, you got enough places to go.
Absolutely,
check
to find
him.
out. Check him out,
Absolutely.
too, you
Yeah,
know.
because you can't take. You know, it's not healthy to sit there and just take everything and say that is it.
Yeah,
Let's
no,
check
it's
it out
not.
and see. You know, but I'm telling you, there's enough places to go and check it out without people being owned. I mean, by an agenda of somebody ahead of them.
Absolutely, Gary.
And this is the danger,
point.
is when people are owned. Now, these guys that come in there and make comments, like guys like, say, you and I, or anybody, these people aren't owned.
No.
They're making comments because that is what they're...
Exactly, and they've checked it out, and they know what they're talking about. They've done their due diligence, like I do, like you do,
Yep.
on a daily basis. You know, I sit down here. I want to be accurate.
Right.
You know,
Right. You want to be accurate, and what you will do is there's with these sites like Breitbart. At Breitbart, the guy that's actually running the administration deal as far as the strategists and so forth is this guy from Breitbart. Man, he's an absolute genius. You
Yeah.
know, so why not get some of that?
yeah, exactly.
I mean, why am
It's
I listening?
there.
Why am I sitting over there listening to some, I don't know, puppet? In fact, a pretty puppet with
Yeah.
strings on it.
Yeah.
But just giving me what I.
Well, you know, it's interesting to me that you said that, you know, because we talked about that a long time ago. And look, people are not only did they wake up for the campaign in time to elect Donald Trump, thank goodness, they woke up to the media and
Yeah.
what the media has been doing for so long, Gary. I mean, you know, and
Ray, I think you said a mouthful. Believe me, every bit of what of a dishonesty or a charade has been the media, where people, let's face it, we trust that. We
Sure
like
we
to
do.
trust that. They have people on there. But that has been every bit as damaging because that's the only contact we have.
And people tend to believe what they hear and see.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
And it's been like that forever. I mean,
It's
there's
like
been-
they're a third arm of government, and we look at it, and by God, that's all we got.
dictators have risen
Yeah.
to power because of that. I mean,
Right.
Hitler
And-
being the first
oh,
one
of
I'd think
course,
of. You know,
So I think that the media has done a tremendous disservice if you happen to be a patriot, if you happen to be a lover of freedom and of human rights and just the generality of being an American in the sense of free enterprise and private property. The media has done everything in the world to try to defeat that.
yes, they have. Yes, they have. Thank goodness the people are waking up and
Okay,
realizing that.
Second Amendment is an example. In fact, we can go through areas of the Constitution and see how much that the media is trying all they can to get people to start thinking in terms of being a socialist communist country.
Oh gosh, thank goodness we have Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Gary, we're gonna take a little break here, and like I said, ladies and gentlemen, earlier, if you're watching me now, we're live. Feel free to call in. The number will appear on the screen when we come back. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Call in, talk to Gary, talk to me, talk to both of us. We'd love to hear from you. And we're going to be back in about 2 and 2.
All the things were gone. I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away.
Yeah, I'm back here with Gary Miguel, and we're just sitting here talking, just normally talking about what's going on in this great world and how things are progressing under President-elect Donald Trump. And Gary?
Yeah, it's. I think it's pretty much a shock for everyone. But one of the things to think about is basically it is a 180-degree
Isn't it?
regime change.
Absolutely.
Right? Now think about this. We've had, if using the word overthrow, we have overthrown a corrupt, crooked government that is incompetent government. Those three things: corrupt, crooked, and incompetent.
You know, when you say that too, I cringe when I see Obama stand in front of the people and tell the people what a great job he's done.
Well, they're liars.
Yes, sir, he's a liar. He's a terrible liar. I mean, to stand in front of the American people and say,
Right.
actually pat himself on the back. Are you kidding?
Well, Ray, we can sit there. The evidence is there. Just okay. We have, let's say, a government that has lied to the American people. We have a government that is corrupt, is crooked, and is incompetent. That's by the evidence of look at what our debt is. Look where the people are. Look at the hunger. Look at the lack of hope, the lack of incentive. I mean, and the middle class becoming less and less. Okay, now think about this. Then why would you turn around, unless you were told otherwise by the media, have got you convinced otherwise? Why would you turn around and decide the next leader of this should be someone who is a liar, crooked, corrupt, incompetent criminal like Hillary Clinton?
Thank goodness the American people woke up. I was afraid they wouldn't.
Well, how would you do? I mean, how does that make any sense?
It doesn't.
Okay, it doesn't. So what's interesting and how powerful these people back when, and there's no place in the world that could be like this. Can you imagine going back to the Jeffersons and when they formed the country, which formerly we were British subjects, you know. Now, how can you go 200 and some years later and have a very critical situation where the government needs to be overthrown? Now, we don't like to admit that,
But it's true.
but it's true. For everyone's survival, the government of the United States was so corrupt, so crooked, and people the public was being shortchanged like you can't believe, and Pretty soon everybody's on welfare is what it's heading for. Now, how
Sure
do
was.
you do that? What's interesting, we were able to do that because of a Constitution and because of the Founding Fathers. Now, here's what's interesting, without firing a shot. I mean, it's an incredible thing that happened here, that we've had a regime change and without firing a shot. I think it's just mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling.
You
It is
know.
indeed, Gary, mind-boggling.
Because I mean, you think, well, we're going to have a coup, we're going to take over. Well, then you get maybe the army becomes they march on Washington, throw Obama out, and that's no. The people voted. The power of the vote.
Power of the vote.
The power of the vote. And we look at it and we say, well, wait a minute, I'm one vote. That's right, you're one of many. It's a tremendously powerful thing, and that vote is just as important, or has the same weight, because it all gets down to one.
Sure
vote.
does.
So somebody here, a pauper on the street, a potentate at the highest hill in the country, their vote is one, just like that was
Just
one.
exactly like that. You know, and we talked about Barack Obama. I mean, 2008, he had such an opportunity to do so much in this country, you know. And Gary and I have talked about it before. Race relationships are worse than I've known them in my lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is a man who had a chance to do a great deal for race relationships. He has done nothing for the African American community or the Hispanic community or the poor white community or the poor Asian community. He's done
Anything.
absolutely
Yeah.
nothing for these people. Nothing.
Well, let's just look at it, though. What is Obama? Look at it this way. He could have done this and he could have that. And my answer to that is no, he couldn't. And the reason he couldn't, even if he wanted to, because he was a puppet.
Absolutely.
People
to-
knew
to the
about
establishment.
Obama long ago. Now, who knew about Obama? And what was he before? A community organizer. I mean, the man just came to this country. In college, he was raised somewhere else.
Yeah.
People argue if he was born somewhere else.
Sure they did.
But he was picked out because he had some things that they felt would be attractive. One of them, of course, being that he was black, to be the first black. and the
Absolutely.
other one-
People didn't see this?
and
My
they-
gosh.
I mean, my God, we can go to. I still say he's not the first American black president.
Oh, I know. And I agree with you.
You know, but the point is, that's what they seen, and
Mm-hmm.
they said, and he has a way about him as far as the talking
Mm-hmm.
part, and that was attractive. And so,
Okay,
anyway,
hang on one second.
Yeah.
Have we got a caller? Hang on a minute, ladies and gentlemen. Rob, we got a caller? He's on right now? Go ahead, ma'am. Hello? Maybe she doesn't have her radio turned down or her television turned down. Huh?
It's working. Well, she'll call back.
Okay, she's not on the line now, right?
No.
Okay, perhaps she'll let us know. Okay.
But-
We had a caller, apparently we lost her, so maybe we'll get her back.
but you know, that Obama was that's like a staged deal, and of course they said, well, wait a minute, here's a man that was raised this way. I mean, he's Muslim. He's obviously he's a socialist, perhaps even
yeah.
a communist, and he's a Muslim, and he's being told what was needed to be done, and he will do it.
Of course he will. He's
Well,
part
what-
of it. Yeah.
and that's what he's done. He's been I say a puppet, and he sold his soul to that type of thing. Well, maybe we've had other presidents done that too. You know,
Well,
but basically,
he is certainly the most obvious, and it's such
right.
it's such
and he
a
is the
sh-
most obvious.
You know, it's such a shame to me when a person has such a great opportunity to do so much,
Right.
and change so many things, and he failed. And I'll just tell you the truth. What I think. I mean, he failed, as Gary said, to line his own pockets like everyone else. you
Well,
know?
he failed. Obviously, he likes the idea of the power and all that,
Sure he
but
does.
he failed himself. But he didn't have any interest in that. What he had interest in is he did what he was told and what he was programmed to do, and that got him to where he's at this point. The man. I don't think the man really. I don't think he ever cared about solving any United States.
I don't either.
problems. I think he wanted to have problems.
But he was compensated for what he did.
Oh,
wasn't he?
absolutely.
You know?
But I don't think he cared.
I don't either.
I don't think he cared about the American people Well, how in the world do you keep allowing people in that you know are have a history of killing people? Why, if you care about the American people, why are you letting ISIS in?
And that's what we're doing with the refugees.
Well, sure.
That's exactly what we're doing.
Oh,
we
that's
talked
just-
about that
yeah, I
earlier.
mean, why
and
would
that's
you
just
do that?
one thing. I mean, the 500 billion to Iran. I mean,
Oh,
just ridiculous things that he's done that made me. Okay, hang on one second. We have a caller. Go ahead, caller. Have we got it turned up? We can't hear it.
Yeah, it's on.
Ma'am, can you hear us? If you can hear us, call. Feel free to call back. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Is she still on the line, Rob?
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just chained up. I think,
Well, keep trying, ma'am, and Rob will let us know when you're on the line. We'll try to communicate with you. We'd love to hear what you or anyone else out there. Feel free to call in. We may be having a few difficulties right now, but we'll straighten them out. So please call back. We'd like to hear what you've got to say. Anyway, Gary.
Yeah, you know that he done everything in the. If you really look at it, he doesn't do it. Has done anything in the sense of for the purpose of actually helping the people.
You know, I
And
talk.
he's so arrogant, and everything
Exactly.
is me. I mean,
Yeah.
somebody kept track how many me's he used instead of saying we or this is for the. And it's there for the American people. It's
As far
you
as
know.
being for the American people, how many times has he been somewhere else doing some fun thing when he should have been right here taking care of a crisis
I mean,
here?
it's
you know?
just a joke.
And
It
yeah,
really
it is. It is. I mean, you know, I remember when a couple of things happened during the Reagan administration. What did he do? He flew back immediately
Oh,
that
sure.
day.
Yeah.
You know, to come back here
I
and
mean,
take care of us.
Obama spent $5 million, I guess it is, to go to Hawaii for. I mean, he has no interest in anything having to do with a good. Well, I'm not going to go.
He won't even
vacation,
say the word,
because
you know.
our debt is so high right now. I mean, it's a token, but he doesn't care. He thinks
No.
he's entitled to everything, and he's absolutely a. I don't know, a trophy for the word entitlement.
He's
if you will.
accumulated more debts
Yeah.
than the three preceding presidents
Right.
before him. It's amazing.
And it
you
just
know?
got to the point to where what we were about ready to do, though, is about to elect someone else, another first timer. He was the first black. Now we got a first woman, another first timer that was going to do nothing more than carry out what Obama has
It was
done.
going to be worse. It
Which
was
is
going to be
nothing
worse.
for the American people,
Yeah.
black, brown, or whatever. And she was going to be worse because that is just her MO as far as the biggest crime as far as money laundering is sitting right there with the Clinton Foundation.
Absolutely.
And makes the mafia look juvenile.
They were talking about
You
that today in lieu of, I didn't even know that somebody would do a poll like this. They did a poll to see if they voted today, how many people would vote for Hillary Clinton, and it was amazing. That was this morning on Outnumbered.
Oh,
I
is that
saw it. I
right?
wish I could give you the figures. I should have written them down. But it was unbelievable how many people that had voted for her would not vote. And you touched on that at the beginning of
Right.
the show.
I knew at that time it
And-
was 15%.
Yeah, and it's just amazing how many people have waken up and said, "Wait a minute, you know these
Right.
people are right." You know, and it's like you and I said earlier. People believe what they see and what they hear, and if they hear it and see it enough, it's going to become a fact with them.
Right.
You know, and
Yeah, and I
that's
think
sad.
that people are becoming more energized, and you know, I talk to a lot of people that say, "Man, I'm excited." You know, I think this
Everybody
this
is. You're right. This is, you
Yeah,
know, I
it
wake
gets
up
it-
in the morning and
That's right.
hit all the shows that I hit.
Right.
And man, I start my day off in a positive way because I'm loving what happens. I'm
Sure.
loving this. And we told you before, we're all a part of this. It's like being a part of a big movie, and we're just sitting in it. We're riding it. We're riding the wave of Donald Trump.
Well,
and I'm loving this. I'm loving what's happening in this
You know,
great
Trump
country.
always said, "Oh, I'm going to win." Of course, he's doing all this winning right now.
Yeah.
And this guy I read it on one of those websites. He says, "Man, we win." He cited win. He says, "Man, I'm loving this win." He said, keeps
And
winning.
he is. He's enjoyed this. I mean, he's worked hard.
Yeah.
Incredibly hard.
Well, if people are sitting there, keep winning,
Mm-hmm.
I'm enjoying it. You know what I mean? And people are going to feel more, especially after we see what his tax thing is.
That's a big thing.
That's a
yeah.
biggie, and we see what it's going to do in regard to that affects people directly.
Sure
you know.
it does. Sure it does.
And as he trims government, and
Takes
the
care
big
of
thing is-
Obamacare.
and the
you know.
big deal is the Obamacare. Yeah.
And ISIS. I think that I'm so glad
And
he's
ISIS.
got the right people. I
Right.
mean, 3 generals, two
Right.
4-star and a 3-star general. These men are poised to do what they can to keep this country safe.
Well,
know?
and you know the millennial, the mamby-pamby snowflakes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those people are. I mean, it's pathetic. They're 20-some years old, and you think they're 9 years old.
Oh,
in
yeah.
terms of, I mean, their psyche is fragile. They have no toughness, no nothing.
Someone said, and
My
I agree,
Lord.
and I think it was Hannity, that these idiots ought to be taken over in a third world country and made to have to live there
Absolutely.
for 3 months.
I mean, it's sickening.
Yeah. I mean, they've been pampered all their
Look at
lives
the
here.
professors. I tell you, that's what needs a good overhaul is our education system.
Sure it does.
Especially at the college level.
Mm-hmm.
That's become nothing but a corrupt, I call it a scam.
Oh yeah, a bunch of professional
Right.
liberals that are teaching the kids
Well,
this.
they're liberals. I think that's even treating the liberals a little bad. Some of the crookedness they do.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, when you went to college, it was an opportunity to work your way through.
you're darn right.
Now they got it so you can't even do that, so you got to borrow, and then who has to pay for it eventually? The taxpayer.
Well, of course, that's
and
what's
what you
happening.
come out with something worthless. So what good did it do you?
Mm-hmm.
You know.
It's true.
So I don't think that the colleges should skate on this. I think they have to be made accountable and responsible.
Like everything
for-
else.
like everything
Absolutely,
else, yeah.
Gary. Absolutely, I agree with you.
And that's a point that we're going to see a change there. I have a feeling it's going to be good. It's going to be
All the way
something-
down the line.
Yeah.
I'm loving this. We're gonna take a break here, and the lady who attempted to call, I hope you'll call again. And you can call just anytime, even if we're on commercial break, they'll bring us in, okay? And anyone else out there, we're live. If you want to talk to us, the number will appear on the screen. Please feel free to call in. We'd love to hear from you. Call in, ask Gary a question, me a question, or both of us a question, and hopefully we'll answer it for you. So we're going to be back here in, say, 2 and 2. Okay, we're back. I'm back with Gary Miguel. And listen, we're very sorry about that. We had a call from Missouri and a call from Texas. I'm thrilled to death. And if you can hear us, please call back. We think we've corrected the problem, and we'd love to hear what you have to say. So the number will appear on the screen. So, Gary?
Well, like Ray, I was telling you about that Omak Indians.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, what we ought to do is plan on going there next summer.
I'll go with you anywhere,
Yeah.
man. I'd love to go.
Yeah,
I would love to
that's
go.
a great,
Absolutely.
great
That's
deal.
right up my alley.
Yeah, they're really good.
What a great
people,
trip
and-
that would be.
Oh yeah, it's and you really learn a lot of history that. especially
Sandra would love that.
Northwest.
Can I bring her along?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, that'd be great. She'd love
Yeah,
that.
you see, when you look at the history, most of the time we're pretty well, we get a lot of history of the South
Mm-hmm.
and the Southwest and other areas, but not so much in the Northwest, you
Yeah.
know. But there's a tremendous amount of Indian lore there in history.
Oh, I'd love it.
And it's pretty interesting, Lewis and Clark,
Mm-hmm.
how that really was. That's a fascinating story. And then the Nez Perce Indians with Chief Joseph. I mean, that's a whole story in
Mm-hmm. And
itself.
this festival lasts 3 days, huh?
Well, this is a 4-day thing.
I'd love to be there for every day,
But
you
you know, it's the idea of that is you're there and you see the powwow, the
Mm-hmm.
dancing and so and the rest of it. But you have available to you a lot of things in terms of like the history
Yeah.
and so forth. But it's interesting. That one of those Indian gals that I know, Marilyn, she's a big gal, very pretty, very big.
Uh-huh.
And some cowboy got fresh with her there at the
Oh, no.
at that Omak, and she flat laid him right on the ground.
I love stories like that. I love them. I love
I
them.
got a kick out of that. And anyway, the people there are more than happy to, tell you a little bit about what you don't know about.
I love things like that. I look forward to that. You invited me. I'm not
Oh,
going
yeah.
to let you out of it now.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. That sounds like
Oh,
fun.
that whole Northwest is fascinating. There's a museum in Baker City, Oregon, one of the finest museums you'll go. It's big, and it's all about the covered wagons when the people come out west. I mean,
This is in Oregon?
This is in Oregon.
Uh-huh.
Now, I see these millennial snowflakes crying, and I mean, it's just pathetic. They're such pathetic people compared to the toughness of these people coming out in a covered wagon. Well, the deaths are, it was, that was about a 10-year period, and it was 25,000 deaths, mainly due to accident and fires and and
See.
stuff like, and child.
Talk about hardship.
Oh, it's awful. Anyway, if you were to put the people that died and go grave to grave all the way out to the Oregon Willamette Valley, every 80 yards there's a grave from Missouri,
Oh my gosh.
from Missouri.
Yeah.
And then you go to this museum and it talks about the hardship, and they have actual diaries from the people as they kept the diary. And
Oh, how interesting.
Oh, you go in there, it's like going into a church. It's real quiet, right?
Yeah.
So I took a friend of mine there, like I thought he'd be interested, and he was, and we go there. It takes about an hour or so,
Oh, I love
however
that.
long you want. But you go through there, and you immediately get quiet, and nobody talks. Everybody kind of talk within themselves, and you're reading, and they have the voiceover with
Yeah.
with the oxen and the cart, and it's just fascinating, right? You really get the feel for the suffering, and you realize in a hurry just how tough you had to be.
Oh my goodness.
And the horrible thing, imagine when you pulled up stakes, you're going out there, you're losing children, and actually the people.
Spouses sometimes.
Oh,
and, you know.
yeah, absolutely. People that were killed, drowning was a big cause of death.
See, I didn't know that.
And of course, the
Crossing rivers, huh?
Oh,
Which
yeah,
was-
it
they
was
say
huge.
was a very
And-
dangerous thing.
And so what it is that when we watch the movies, of course, it's Indians.
Yeah.
Indians actually killed very few in comparison. I think it was something about maybe, I don't know.
That's an
maybe
amazing
11. Yeah.
fact. I remember you told me that once before. That's
Yeah.
it, because we watch TV and we think Indians killed a lot of people. Yeah,
No.
on television they did.
Yeah, on television. But the main reason for the death, but I kind of got a kick out of this guy. He went, that I took over there, and he went through it, and boy, he got sober quick, when you go through there. So I asked him, I said, well, what'd you think of that? After about 2 hours, I said, well, what'd you think about that? He says, man, he said, that is really, really sobering. He says, if those people had just waited 100 years, they could have drove out here.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, I'll tell you, it's all pretty fascinating to me, and it kind of ties in with these little wimpy co-eds and
it's
people that
pathetic.
need coloring books and hot chocolate and
So-
dogs to soothe them,
Play-Doh and
Play-Doh and all this stuff. Like,
don't you just want to slap the
oh,
side of the
you
head?
do want to just slap the hell out of them. It's like Hannity said, why don't you grow up, get down on your knees, and thank God that you live in the greatest country in this world and how fortunate you are, instead of being little babies. I have I just have no tolerance at all for these kind of people.
Well, I was with this is some years ago. I had this friend of mine. He was a general, and we're in town, and we're driving, come to a stop sign by a school, or a stoplight, and he and I are both just sitting there. We're not talking, and I just observed, and there was all this purple hair, yellow hair, and what they look. It just looked like a passel of junk going across. And I told him, I said, General, that's your American leaders down the road.
Sad, isn't it?
Yeah, and he looked at that. He says, "Don't worry about it. There's a couple of bullets whistling around their ears. They'll grow up real fast."
real quick. I believe that.
You get them in a combat situation, and then all of a sudden you'll see how mature they get.
Yeah, very quick.
And I
believe
think but I think some of them are just total flotsam. They're so pathetic, when you see that on TV. Of course, there again, the media's going to do what? They're going to go to them. They're not going to show you, maybe you see they're 1%, 2%, whatever. They're not going to show you all the kids that are nothing like those.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Well, man.
And you see it's like me. I got to tell you this story. A couple of years ago, my sister and I, she was having some health problems, and I'd taken her to Vons, I think it was, and we're in line, and in front of us is this black lady with her two black sons, with the pants hanging off the butts,
Yeah.
which I hate so much, and they were asking their mom for $20. They said, we need $20 to go play video games or whatever. And she said, honey, we got PG&E and telephone. I got to pay rent. I can't afford to give you $20. They said, "Oh, you've got $20," and they just kept on and kept on and kept on, and she finally gave him $20. And you felt like it was none of your business. And so my sister's tapping me because she knows I don't say anything. You
Yeah.
don't need to say anything. But I wanted so badly to say, "Why don't you go out and get a job, and you wouldn't have to ask your mother for $20 when you're 20 years old, or 19 or whatever."
Well, in fact, that mentality in the old days, they would have been and given their mom the 20.
You absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They would have
Gary,
been
perfect.
working to make the $20, but that was to give their mom.
Yeah,
you
not
know, and
not sitting there
and now
begging
they're-
for her.
Exactly.
Yeah, and totally not understanding
Well,
what she's telling
I mean,
them,
it's
It's just, and that's a major part of society that's like that. That's what's sad to me.
well,
you
it's
know.
a very sad part of society, and too much of that political correct thing that we talked about, and it's going to take a while for that to kind of
Sure it is. I can't wait for it to,
so some of that to finally just drain out of the swamp, But the thing that he's tackling right quick fast is he's got to, and I say he's got to, he is doing it, and that is to get that swamp drained in Washington D.C. and then worry about elsewhere.
Yeah, he is draining the
Oh
swamp.
man, he's surrounded himself with people that have,
I love the cabinet. I love everyone that he's appointed. I've done research on every one of them, Gary, and I like every one of them. It's
good.
just brilliant. Just
Isn't that
brilliant.
something?
Yeah, just brilliant. I'm loving it.
well, he goes in there and he basically they're going to replace all this Obama type mentality, which is get something as much as you can out of the government instead of contributing. None of those people are interested in contributing. They're interested in padding their own self, so they go into government only for the purpose of serving themselves.
That's it.
I mean, it's pretty simple, and it's pretty obvious. So they get the press to kind of glow over it, like they come up with something. Well, no, but look what he believes in global warming or some other. Oh, he saved the now,
Oh yeah.
or something like that. But they're just ripping you off, and so he's going to get rid of that, and he's having them all come in, so that they know in advance what to expect. That's pretty good in
You
itself.
doggone right it is. I can't believe how, he's acted. He's not even elected yet. I mean, he's elected. He's not even taken
Right.
office yet, and he like I said, he acts more presidential every day.
Well,
the
he-
decisions that he's
You know,
making, and
I think it's right to bring in the top corporation people, the CEOs.
Absolutely.
And
I agree.
And sit there and say, okay, what can we do for you and what can you do for us? And it's a two-way thing.
Sure
and,
it is.
And it's a learning process with it. And when
and he's got these other people. I mean, he's bringing in these big heads of
Right.
corporations. Then he's got on his staff all these billionaires that can sit with these people and say, "Look, we
Well,
need
like
to do
Carl
this." And that."
Icahn.
Perfect example.
he's doing it for nothing. He's
Yeah.
not taking a salary.
Yeah.
He says, no, I'm not taking a salary.
Yeah,
And
I love it.
He's getting, that's Americans volunteering. When
Doesn't it remind you of the
Wasn't
old
it
days?
one time we had the militia, the volunteers?
Yeah.
I mean, there's been
That's what I was just going to
Yeah.
say. I mean, in the old days,
Right.
nobody got paid. These people actually took away from their farms
exactly
and stuff
right.
to serve, and it was such a privilege to serve, and that's what
Right.
they did.
So he's got it there to where he's saying to them, now, this is what I'm. But she's open minded about it. In other words, he's not dictating. He's listening, and he said, "This is how, and this is why." Because I noticed that every time when one of those come out of there, they all say the same thing. Oh yeah, it was very interesting. Meaning it was very, and but there's going to be some changes.
I like all the
they're-
times he's crossed the line.
Well,
and
that's right.
and he's making it work.
Well, here's the thing. There's going to be some changes because I'm sure he points out the necessity. Otherwise, then we have nothing. And now there's people that are going to prosper just as, by that. And there's going to be people disappointed. And those people, by and large, have been our enemy.
Oh yeah, we're talking
Well,
about
let's put it this way. Anytime you're serving government and your interest is serving yourself as opposed to serving me, you're an enemy.
absolutely.
I don't care if you're a government job, how lit it is, you're over there to serve us. That doesn't mean you're supposed to be abused or any of that kind of thing. But when you get it to the point where you think I'm the one supposed to be serving you,
No,
you're in the wrong business.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well put, Gary. Well put. We're going to take another break here, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to tell those two callers that, please, if you feel like calling in, I'm sorry what happened. One from Missouri, one from Dallas, Texas, I think. Feel free to call in. We would love to hear what you have. We're headed toward the end of the show. But call in. There's time for you to call in. We'll talk about it, okay? So we're going to be back here and say 2 and 2.
Here at Central Valley Talk, we've chosen Select Business Systems to provide for our copy, print, and scanning needs. We used to think it was cheaper to purchase our own toner and maintain our own office equipment. But now, with the expertise and experience of Select Business Systems, our office workflow is running at peak performance, saving our company time and money. They've truly set us up with our new Sharp multifunction copier, streamlining our office with the press of a button. To find out how you can improve your office technology, call Select Business Systems at 446-0123 or visit their website at selectsharp.com.
This segment was brought to you by Pro Travel Network Fresno. For all your vacationing planning, call Jennifer Rogers at 559-317-6735.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Okay, I'm back, and I'm going to put Gary on the spot again and ask him to come back next week. Okay, buddy?
You bet,
we
Ray.
love having you
You
on the
bet.
show. And once again, thank you all so much. And please, everyone, have a wonderful holiday season. And look forward to 2017 because it's going to be a doozer. I mean, it is going to be a doozer. I love to say that. And once again, a shout out to our law enforcement officers that we see in the streets of Fresno and Madera and around the valley. Go up and shake hands. I did this last night with an officer, and he really appreciated it. I explained to him about my show and doing this, and he said, well, I'm going to watch your show, and I'm going to get other policemen to watch it, which I love. But I just want to tell you that go up, shake their hands, tell them how much we appreciate them. And they have a thankless job. They don't get paid a lot of money, and yet they're out there protecting us every single day. So basically, I just want to say to everybody, and especially our law enforcement officers, Merry Christmas and have a great New Year. We're all going to have a great New Year. So, like I say every week, until I meet you joyously next Thursday, heaven's blessings.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave their